I'm Native American. I am San Carlos Apache on my mom's side and white on my dad's side. He is a legit cowboy, so he used to say we were cowboys and Indians. Anyway, one of the things that I wish had been more commonly known is just the way that Native people interact with one another can be different than the way Native people interact with white people around them. Some of the interactions are a little bit different, greet each other differently. Rather than just saying your name, you would say your full name and like where you're from, and a brief like, these are my parents, these are my grandparents on each side of the family. And some traditions have more involved personal, like little personal history introductions than that. I would have liked to have more understanding between the differences of skin color. In the area where I grew up, having brown skin meant that I was somehow lesser because my ancestors were supposedly evil. I was called dirty little Indian several times, which is like, that's offensive, you know? And it's like, I can't wash it off. It's not dirt. It's just my skin color. I was also called Indian chief a few times, which to me was weird because females aren't necessarily the chiefs. Like the structure that people have in their heads of how Native American tribes are structured is not correct. Like, it's not like there's one leader and everybody in the tribe follows them. There's one leader for an entire tribe, sure, but then there's also clans and family groups, and more people are more closely associated leadership-wise with their family group and their clan than they are like an overall tribe. And so to be classified as one thing under an overarching umbrella was kind of hard. I think one of the easiest examples I can give is stereotyping. Was something that for a lot of people is widely believed, and that was something that, like an image that was projected onto the minds of my classmates and I when I was growing up and going through school. And there's this movie called Stagecoach. It's John Ford. Anyway, in the movie, John Ford has this storyline where these people in a stagecoach have to go across the desert, across Apache country. When they're in the stagecoach, there's this scene where like the Apaches attack, and it's this whole like battle between good and evil or whatever. But I remember thinking that how funny it was that like if we had actually lived up to that stereotype, Apaches today would be like sitting out on the porch, like harassing people just driving by on the street, you know, or like that stereotype is not realistic. And even if there had been like some hostile Apaches, not all of us would have been involved because of the ties of leadership. Like there were quite a few clans and family groups that were friendly toward white people and had chosen to do that. And there were a few that were not friendly toward the white people because white people came in and took over all their traditional lands and pushed them onto reservations. Like, you can't frame an entire people and an entire heritage system based on how one group bullied another group. And to say these people are really mean and they were fighting against us and stuff after you had come in and taken their lands away from them is entirely wrong. So that's one thing that I wish that people would have known, that like we're real people and we react very much the same way real people do. And so I think another thing that I wish that my classmates had known is that we're still in existence. Like, Native Americans still exist. We are normal people, right? Like we said before. And so we live in houses and we drive cars and we go to the grocery store, and those might be in different environments, whether we're on a reservation or living in the general population, so to speak. But we're still just regular, normal people, and we're out and about with everyone else. One of the things to consider too is that there are, I believe, 574 federally recognized Native American tribes in the United States. There's a belief at one point in time that there was close to 1,000 or maybe more than 1,000 Native American tribes. We know that not all the tribes are fully recognized by the federal government, but every tribe is different. And just because you meet somebody from the Navajo reservation does not mean that everyone in those tribes believes the same way. And the San Carlos Apache tribe is very different from the Navajo tribe, and we're geographically located and even linguistically related, but still very different and distinct. And that's important to know too. Just because one tribe lived on the plains in teepees does not mean that every tribe did that. San Carlos Apaches lived in wickiups in the desert, and we don't all shoot bows and arrows and kill bison all the time. Like, you have to be near bison in order to be able to have that opportunity, and that's just not a reality for everyone. So just knowing that all the tribes are different and distinct is helpful, and then that we are all still alive, very much alive.